afternoon everyone, and welcome back to Miss P Presents with me, Miss P. This week we will be discussing my top 10 novels of the 2000s, or the noughties. So without further ado, grab yourself a drink and let's get talking. Joffrey, what's that? But it's wet, Joffrey. I just moisturised. I'm not sure about this either, Joffrey. First up on the list we have Fingersmith by Sarah Waters, published in 2002. I am a huge Sarah Waters fan, and Fingersmith, her third novel, is undoubtedly one of her best. Waters is an absolute master of the first-person narrative, with her protagonist in this novel, the orphan Sue Trinder, providing a highly engrossing, immersive account of life in the dodgy end of Victorian London. Sue is an apparently quiet, unremarkable girl who grows up under the rough but loving care of Mrs. Suxby and her chosen family in a Fagin-like den of thieves. Life goes on in a routine manner, until one day, when Mr. Richard Rivers, also known as Gentleman, an artful conman full of tricks and affected charm, offers Sue a part in his deception of a naive young girl living at a great estate with only her elderly father for company.
It'll be a bit of a holiday for you, Sue.
It's one of the most cleverly plotted stories of all time. Structurally brilliant, linguistically gorgeous, addictive, unputdownable, absolute gold. Next up we have Brooklyn by Colm Tobin, published in 2009. Definitely one of the best coming-of-age novels of all time. Brooklyn is the life-affirming story of Eilish Lacey, a young woman who has grown up in the small Irish town of Enniscorthy. Unable to find work, Eilish's sister Rose makes contact with an Irish priest who offers to sponsor Eilish in America. Though reluctant to leave her beloved sister and mother, the opportunity is too good to turn down. Eilish moves to the bustling neighbourhood of Brooklyn, where she takes up residence in a boarding house run by Mrs. Kehoe, works in a department store, and takes night classes in bookkeeping. Wretchedly homesick at first, Eilish eventually thrives with the help of her new friends and Tony Fiorello, an Italian-American with a big family and a warm heart.
So would you dance for me?
I'm not sure he taught me anything.
Doesn't matter. The secret is to look as though you know what you're doing.
I wish someone had told me that years ago.
Everything seems to be working out splendidly, until some terrible news from back home threatens the happy life Eilish has created. Quite simply, it's perfect. It's like a heart full of love, bursting with feeling and emotion and truth. I am moved every time I read this book. It's so beautifully written, so subtly powerful. It's a stone-cold classic, not to be missed. Next up on the list we have Small Island by Andrea Levy, published in 2004. This is a brilliant, beautifully observed novel which follows four people in the aftermath of the Second World War. Queenie and Bernard are a British couple who struggle to understand each other as a result of their conflicting views. When the war ends and Bernard still hasn't come home, Queenie continues to take in Jamaican lodgers and is reunited with Gilbert, an RAF officer with big ambition and hopes of a hero's welcome. Gilbert's wife Hortense shares his ambition for a better life and is bitterly disappointed to find London shabby, dilapidated and largely unwelcoming.
We stuck here for months in this stinking rat hole with no whiff of a job. Things were different in the war. They needed us then.
All four characters experience feelings of bitter disappointment at the reality of life post-war. Levy offers such perspective in these voices. All four of them are so real and so human. We feel their struggles, their grievances, their hopes, their dreams, and their desires. It's essential reading. Next up, we have Everything is Illuminated by Jonathan Safran Foer, published in 2002. It tells the story of a young American man named Jonathan, who travels to Ukraine in search of the woman who saved his grandfather from the Nazis 50 years ago. Jonathan is aided on his journey by Alexander Perchov, a Ukrainian translator with a knack for creating singularly bizarre sentences.
I implore you to forgive my speaking of English, Jonathan, as I'm not so premium with it.
My name is Jonathan.
As well as Alex's blind grandfather and his randy guide dog named Sammy Davis Jr. This story is interspersed with tales of Jonathan's ancestors and the small town of Trashenbrod in Poland, which was occupied by the Nazis during World War II. It's a highly original, impressive novel, full of humour and heartbreak. Joffrey? Joffrey, what's going on? There's some sort of ruckus happening in the street, Joffrey. Joffrey? I hope it's not rounding us. Joffrey, go and see what's going on. You know how I like to be in the know? Go on. Removal people. So somebody's moving in next door, you say? Do you hope they're the right sorts of people, Joffrey? Go and see what their clothes look like. Do they have a cat? The thing I can't quite work out, Joffrey, is how you didn't know about this. What do you mean, how could you know? Have you not been attending the parish council meetings, Joffrey? How can I possibly expect to maintain my position in society, Joffrey, if you don't attend my meetings for me? The people must see me, represented through you, and know about our plans and projects. And you, in turn, should know about theirs. Well, Joffrey, there's really nothing else for it. You're going to have to go down to Fortnum's, purchase a hamper, go down and greet them and see what it's all about. Not one of the really expensive ones, something sort of mid-range. Yes. There's no problem that can't be solved with a middling Fortnum's hamper. Joffrey, I'm also out of that very nice fig chutney. Put that down on the list. Joffrey, put the kettle on, please. Next up on the list, we have Notes on a Scandal by Zoe Heller, published in 2003. First of all, great title. This is an astonishing, disquieting novel about the highly controversial subject of the student-teacher relationship. Sheba Hart is a new teacher at St George's Secondary School in London. Beguiling, charming, and privileged, Sheba quickly finds a friend in history teacher Barbara, a lonely 60-something-year-old woman from whose point of view the story is told. Barbara is thrilled to be singled out by Sheba, and when she discovers that her new friend is having an affair with one of her students, 15-year-old Stephen Connolly, Barbara is more than keen to defend her. She makes an account of events based on what she has witnessed and what Sheba has told her, gradually revealing a torrent of secrets which threatens to compromise both women. It's fascinatingly addictive, sly, clever, funny, a brilliant, original novel that I guarantee you will not be able to put down. Next up on the list we have How I Live Now by Meg Rossoff, published in 2004. This is one of my favourite books ever. It's told from the point of view of 15-year-old Daisy, who is sent by her father from Manhattan to England to stay with her Aunt Pen and 4 cousins that she's never met. At first scathing of their quiet country existence, Daisy soon becomes charmed by their simple way of life and her eccentric cousins too. Aunt Pen is called away on business shortly after Daisy's arrival, leaving the children to live joyfully in an adult-free world, void of rules and restrictions. But their secluded wonderland is threatened by the outbreak of war, and as the bombs rain down and England becomes occupied by an unnamed enemy, the question on all of their lips is how long can this wonderland last?
This whole area's crawling with enemy units. Okay, we need to get you out of here fast. Girls, follow me.
It's a surprising, astonishing novel that is written so simply and so beautifully. Daisy is a hilarious, highly engaging narrator, at once familiar but also extraordinary. Joffrey, will you bring some paper? I've remembered a few more items that I require from Fortnum's. Ah, very good. Joffrey, what was that thing we had with our tea last Wednesday? It was a loaf, about sort of yay high and yay wide. Ah, yes, a tea loaf. Joffrey, I'm not sure if this is a particularly high quality pen. Perhaps I should put down some premium pens and paper. Ooh, and some bath salts. You may send a parcel to your aunt and wish her well. Glad to hear that she has not had a relapse. Ooh, and Joffrey, you should go down to the basement. Maybe get some macaroons or some of those very fine sugared almonds. And you might have them wrapped in a box with a little bow. I've underlined bow, Joffrey, so you really ought not to forget it this time. Next up, we have The Secret Life of Bees by Sue Monk Kidd, published in 2001. This is such a gorgeous book. It's set in South Carolina in 1964, where 14-year-old Lily has grown up believing that she accidentally killed her mother when she was just 4 years old. 10 years later, Lily and her stand-in mother Rosaline, a black servant, are forced to flee her abusive father's home after Rosaline is arrested and beaten by police officers. Following a trail left by Lily's mother, the pair find their way to the home of 3 eccentric beekeeping sisters, May, June and August, who admit them into their sanctuary of honey, culture, divine peace and female power. It's a mesmerising, magical novel about the strength of female relationships, the power of storytelling, and the irrationality of prejudice.
See, the world's really just one big bee yard. The same rules work in both places. Don't be afraid, as no life-loving bee wants to sting you.
Next up on the list we have Purple Hibiscus by Chimamanda Ngozi Adichie, published in 2003. It tells the story of 15-year-old Camberley and her brother Jar Jar, who live with their mother under the strict rule of their fanatical preacher father in Nigeria. When a military coup storms the country, Camberley and Jar Jar are sent to live with their university professor aunt in the outskirts of the city. There they discover a place where they can speak freely and be listened to, a place full of laughter and ease, worlds apart from the tyranny they've experienced back home. Camberley is such a brilliant protagonist, outwardly quiet and unassuming, inwardly full of passion, feeling, and initiative. It reads so effortlessly. It's beautiful, it's sensitive, and it's quietly commanding. Next up, we have Call Me By Your Name by Andre Aciman, published in 2007. Set in the mid-1980s, Call Me By Your Name chronicles the burgeoning passion between 17-year-old Elio, the son of an academic, and 24-year-old Oliver, his father's houseguest, one glorious, restless summer in Italy. It's a novel that you picture really clearly. Colours are vivid, smells are pungent, and emotions are powerfully arresting. Told from Elio's point of view, it's a striking portrait of teenage sexual awakening. Beautiful, evocative, moving, and life-affirming. It's an absolute classic and the perfect summer read, whatever the weather. And last but not least, we have The Curious Incident of the Dog in the Nighttime by Mark Haddon, published in 2003. What a classic. Probably one of the most original novels ever. The Curious Incident follows 15-year-old Christopher Boone as he tries to solve the mystery of a murdered dog. Christopher has Asperger's syndrome, and after discovering the dog skewered through with a pitchfork, he sets about trying to solve the mystery using his own unique skill set.
My name is Christopher John Francis Boone. I live at 36 Randolph Street, Swindon. I like maths, outer space, looking after Toby, and I see everything.
It really is something very special. I can imagine that there are few, if any, narrative voices that can claim to have had such a profound effect on their readers. It's moving, honest, and truly remarkable. Geoffrey, I've just remembered. Those terrible people from number 72 said that they might drop round this evening. I can't possibly offer them the nice sherry. Better get the cheap one instead. Yes. People like that will never notice cheap sherry, Geoffrey, if you serve it to them in a nice glass. That's something I've learned. On second thoughts, Geoffrey, I think I might come down with you after all. See if I can get a look at these new neighbours myself. Yes, I know that you say that you've vetted the staircase, but you know, Geoffrey, I can spot cat's hair from a mile away. I'm very sensitive. I wonder what sort of tea the new neighbours will like. I think perhaps that... Don't interrupt me, Geoffrey. Oh, yes, you're probably right. That was Miss P's Top 10 Novels of the Noughties. Join me next time for the last in the series, where I'll be discussing my top 10 novels of the 20 teens. You won't want to miss it. Thank you so much for watching my channel. If you enjoyed it, don't forget to like, comment and subscribe so you can keep up to date with all things Miss P presents. See you next time.